Guys, I have a strange feeling that some of our dreams are going to be delayed. It's already happening with the Z06, and I think the same thing might happen with the Eray and the potential of the Zora if it even comes out. I think a lot of this stuff is going to get pushed a bit, guys. Let's get into it. All right, guys, listen, let's go ahead and get in. Listen, we got a couple situations to go through. All right, now a lot of this stuff is Grip's opinion. Some of it is just some information that I'm going to be delivering to you guys, but a lot of it's just my opinion. Wanted to kind of get on and vlog a little bit and tell you guys what I'm thinking and what potentially could happen, right? So, let's just start from the basics, right? There's still some delays and stuff going on out there, and a lot of it still stems from parts, situations and the ability to actually build that car the way they need to build it. So this COVID situation, it really put a damper on everything because our world as we know it, with COVID, you know what I mean? We were kind of, sitting around and existing and everything was fine. But with the onset of COVID, our world as we know it, it just kind of stopped, And when that happens, you have manufacturing stops, productivity, sales, distribution. You have a lot of things that just kind of pause themselves for a period of time to kind of figure out what's going on in that space, right? So when that happens, there's a lot of catching up to do. So that's where we are right now. There's a lot of catching up to do, all right? Now, everybody was excited about the potential production of the Z06. Chevy realized that they just weren't going to be able to do it as much as they wanted to. They were contemplating taking parts from one thing and facilitating another, and I think they kind of came to their senses and realized that, that's only going to get us so far. Plus, we have a large influx of people that are currently waiting for their Stingrays still. So this is not going to be a good plan. So, where does it leave us? It leaves us to the thumbnail, where I say everything gets pushed out. So here's what I mean by that. We know what happened with the Z06, right? So very, very, very limited production right now. Okay, when they open up the order banks for that, which everybody's anticipating January, we really don't know if that's going to happen. And I'm hoping that we don't run into the same situation that we had with when is the Z06 actually going to be produced, right? In the spring and the summer, right? Everybody was anticipating dates and we're waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm hoping that the same thing doesn't happen with opening up these order banks, next year. Is it going to be January? Who knows? I don't know. I'm hoping that it is, so they can start producing these vehicles. But the point I'm making is very limited production currently, and then they shut the orders off. If they open up the order banks in January, how many cars can they possibly make, before the model year turns over and it's a 2024? So there's going to be a very, very limited production of the 2023 Z06. Here's where we potentially could run into a problem. They could increase the price on it, right? I mean, after all, this is business, and I'm going to give you guys a business example of what could potentially happen if they decide to do that and why they might want to do something like that, okay? So that's the Z06, okay? Everything gets pushed out. Again, I'm going back to the thumbnail. What does it really mean? So we know that we had the Stingray that's been around for a little bit now. The newer vehicles were the Z06, the potential of an Eray, and a potential of what they're calling a Zora, okay? I have no idea when the Zora might even potentially come out. They've been talking about it. No clue. But the Eray, I think, was on a closer horizon, okay? So with the Z06 being pushed out, okay, what does that essentially mean, guys? It means that everything else is going to push out as well. There's slowed production on the Stingray. They're not going to be able to produce as many as they wanted to, for the 2023 model, okay? When they finish, I'm going to do a video on the numbers so we can see how many they actually produced. But that's going to slow down, right? And then it also leaks into the 2024s now on the Stingray side. So everything starts to push out a little bit. There's delayed production on the Z06. There's probably going to be delayed production on an Eray, okay? Haven't heard any production dates or anything on that, but whatever they had planned is probably going to be pushed out. Zora, the same thing applies. I think that's probably going to get pushed out as well, you know. So when I say that everything gets pushed out, you have to understand that these delivery dates for these new vehicles that they were targeting, those delivery dates are probably going to push out. You know, the come to market dates are probably going to push out a bit. All right. So you got to understand that it's also business. Okay. Now we're going to get into a couple examples of what could potentially happen. Again, this is just Griff's opinion. These are just some examples. I'm trying to set some expectations for folks because I know folks are eager to get their hands on an E-Ray, you know, when and if that actually comes out. But I'm trying to set the stage of reality for folks so that we all understand that a potential date that we're thinking could potentially be pushed out a bit based on everything that's going on right now. The Z06, again, I really hope that they can make, you know, some early dates, you know, start producing those vehicles as soon as possible. But if they continue to have these issues that they're having, you have to set your expectation that it could take a little bit longer. So let's get into this example. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And listen, I'll catch up with you next week. Hey guys, listen, if you made it this far, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. Thanks. Let's keep going. All right, guys, let's get into the business and the economics, because at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. Now, in order to get the full picture, we're going to have to go to the chalkboard and do a little bit of math on this one. So take your time, bear with me, and let's dig into the numbers a little bit. Let's jump into the $100 million deal, because like I said before, guys, at the end of the day, it comes down to business and economics. Now, these delays that we're seeing gives the manufacturer an opportunity to do some price adjustments. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, so don't jump in the comments and get crazy on me. I'm just saying that this is business, and it gives that business an opportunity to go and do some potential price adjustments. Now, this example is going to be a little bit extreme, but it's just really made to give you an idea of how these companies choose to make money. So let's get into it. All right, listen, here's the example. Let's just say, and I'm going to say it again, it's just an example. It's a hypothetical example, guys. But let's just say GM produces 20,000 Z06s, okay? Now, bear in mind, this vehicle is global, guys. This isn't just domestic anymore. So that 20,000 unit number is not unimaginable, okay? Now, I'm not suggesting that for the 2023 because, again, I already said that's going to be a limited production. But let's look at 2024, okay? And I mentioned to you guys that it gives them an opportunity to do some price adjustments. So let's just say they do 20,000 global units for 2024 with an increase of $5,000, okay? Now, the vehicle starts at 106. Another $5,000 is not, you know, in retrospect, it's not a whole lot, okay? So let's just look at that and let's do the math real quick. So 20,000 units multiplied by $5,000 a unit, that's $100 million in additional profit. Just a little something to make you say, Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but what I am saying is that this time gives the manufacturer an opportunity to figure out what type of price adjustments they want to do. I'm going to leave you guys with that to chew on. I'm going to run out of the room before somebody starts to chase me. But listen, I'll catch up with you guys next week. Appreciate you.